We all love Isekai tropes. That's why there are like 100 of these anime every month. But one particular trope goes harder than the rest. And so we're gonna look at the top 20 times an overpowered Isekai anime protagonist flexed too hard for their show. I know, Honest 10 making a top 20 list. But let's get into it. Number 20, Toru vs. Kan Kobayashi. Let's start off with an anime about the wonder of alcoholism and how it can nab you a dragon baddie. The flex starts off with a little scuffle between dragon maid Toru and her older friend Kan. Kobayashi was just chilling in the grass before a cataclysmic explosion comes from these two monsters fighting. By the end, it turns out it was basically play fighting. And this fight isn't just a flex from the MC, but from the animation studio too. Kyoani wanted to let us know that even a slice-of-life anime can't escape their work's sheer sakuga. The reason for the fight was pretty small. Even Kobayashi wasn't expecting much until these two started grappling, and even the environment couldn't handle the Dragon Ball energy they had going on. The ground was destroyed and the fight was in a blink of an eye. The kicker is that this was just a bit of roughhousing for them. I guess Kobayashi's learned not to underestimate their idea of a playdate. Number 9. Diablo kills Fallen. How not to summon a demon lord.
Dark Barret. Wamekuna. Taishita majutsu wa tsukatte inai zo. Nanda, kono iiryoku.
Y'all ever have that thing when you try to summon a demon to be your slave, but you turn into the slave instead? Yeah, me too. Every time. Either way, How Not to Summon a Demon Lord stars gamer Takuma Sakamoto as Diablo, fighting some nobody digging his crew and pushing around where he's not wanted. And he's not just gonna let that slip by. So he wipes the floor with the man by reversing all of his techniques and then annihilating him with a black hole. And that wasn't even him trying. The fallen demon here is proven to be a toughie, capable of using some impressive magic and some meaty fists. It's no wonder he's gaming for a few extra kills against Diablo, even launching some impressive magic at him. Unfortunately, he didn't count on the awesome power of Diablo's spell that's basically, I'm rubber, you're glue. And that's what makes this moment so impressive. It's not an accidental one, but one powered by the pure desire to punish. And we get to see some brutally cool effects and take a look at Diablo's brutal side. I definitely wouldn't want to be in his line of sight. Number 18. Yuji vs. Blue Dragon of Delight. My Isekai Life. Did you ever notice how most of the people isekai'd are office workers? Authors really do think they're better off dead than alive, huh? Well, My Isekai Life's Yuji's having a real go at it against the Blue Dragon, where he cuts out her eye, blasts her with orbital bombardment, and then tops it off with complete disintegration. But not before stabbing the poor thing again. For good measure. Frankly, one of those would have been enough. The thing that makes this scene so cool is that it's not just one flex, but multiple feats building up from the beginning of the fight. Yuji's initially struggling, and we see him turn it around with some clever tactical thinking, playing some 4D chess with the not really that delightful dragon. The real kicker is Yuji straight up is blinding the damn thing, blasting her with holy tear magic and then eviscerating her into nothing. My man was pissed. He didn't even leave a body. Number 17. Shin vs. Tiger Demon, Wise Man's Grandchild. So what do you think would happen if someone like Luffy was left to raise a kid alone? Well, you'd get Isekai protagonist Shin Wolford. That's what. This moment comes when everyone around the dope is panicking at the sight of a rampaging demon army. Shin has been a little pent up and decides to, release some tension by annihilating the entire demon army as if it were a practice blast, along with 1/5 of the forest. Oops. The awesomeness of this flex is how terrified everyone else is. This is a disaster level threat, but Shin's just vibing, taking a little stretch. The build-up with his spell charging combined with the sciencey words lets us know that he's gonna do something spectacular, and he certainly didn't disappoint. The destruction was quick, wide, and thorough. There's a sex joke in there, but I'll let you figure that one out. And the amazement of the others makes it clear that Shin is just on another level. It gets even more ridiculous when you realize this was just his warm-up. Number 16. Satan vs. Lucifer. The devil is a part-timer.
No! Satan! Mao-san...
This is an anime where the name says it all. Satan's contending with old Lucifer there, and it's not looking good. But with him turning to Swiss cheese and all. After a while, he's said enough and pulls a Frieza by turning into a Super Satan and charging up a punch so needlessly powerful that even Gok said that it took too long to build up. The fight between the two is rough. Satan genuinely looks like he's on the ropes and tries to evade Lucifer and his cronies. It creates a sense of tension, and you gotta wonder, is this the end? Wasn't this a comedy anime? But then we get the reveal that he's basically pulling another Frieza and finally revealing his new form. My guy Satan didn't need to go that hard, but the punk did the worst thing possible. Ruin his perfect attendance. The sheer power difference, the swelling music, the anticipation of Satan's punch all made us hold our breath and wait for the release. Basically, don't mess with the real devil. Number 15, Polka breaks out his biggest skeleton, Dead Mount Death Play. There's a lot of modern isekai out there where the hero goes to a fantasy world, but it's time to return to the old ways with a little Uno reverse card. In this moment, Polka brings out all the guns and facing off against a bandaged dude. The problem is he's rather fast. It's pretty dark, and he's getting pissed. So as soon as the fella's paralyzed, Polka pulls out all the stops and summons the super duper skeleton, beating the intruder and destroying all the furniture in the room as well. Yeah, they're not getting their deposit back. First off, the fight is gorgeous. The fast-paced motions and smooth animation makes it feel like you're actually seeing a fight between two monsters. When the bandaged dude manages to zip through the skeleton hands, it doesn't make us think that Polka's weak, but that guy is strong. The magic effects and music really shine through and give us a good hint at just how far Polka can go. And when he finally unleashed his super skeleton, shivers were running down my spine. Because he ain't playing no more. It was time for him to show these city slickers how things get handled in his world. Number 14, Ark vs. Hydra, Skeleton Knight. You know what modern anime has been missing? More kaiju fights. And the anime Skeleton Knight in Another World has graced us with this gift in their battle against the Hydra, where my man slices them up at first before realizing that these guys are famous for one specific reason. And so he fights fire with fire by summoning his own monster, who also happens to be on fire, and we get a monster brawl with the Hydras figuratively and literally toast. Here's the thing most of you probably, don't care about. I love that the monsters aren't CG. These days, you get that freaky, uncanny valley stuff, but they go for a 2D style that might make the motion slower, but it looks so much more natural. The second thing is that the fight's bonkers from the get-go. The Hydra is dangerous, but Ark's casual nature lets us know that he's still playing around, which makes his stunt all the more badass when he straight up pulls a Final Fantasy summon out there and has an extra large Pokemon battle. Honestly, the only real issue for him is all the collateral. Number 13, now Fumi uses Iron Maiden, Rising of the Shield Hero.
信じていますから。
Now it's time for a show that spawned one of the most hated characters in anime, and that is saying something. Now Fumi's in a rough spot with the whole dark rage thingy he's got going on. Luckily, Raftali is there to remind him, hey, don't be evil, and so he musters his power to create 2 prisons to weaken the monster before calling out his Iron Maiden and destroying the thing so bad, you wonder why it was even a threat to begin with. Now Fumi is mad, and it's hard to control that, giving us a feel for the danger he's about to bring out, but this moment is gonna lead to a tear. So thankfully, his companion, Raftali, is there to keep him in check. The animation is great, with the 4 effects giving you a feel of urgency that this has to end soon. Now Fumi, using his shield techniques over and over, serves as a way for us to figure out that he's just messing with it at this point. The real kicker is his Iron Maiden. The chant, the effects, the anticipation at seeing a special move from our OP hero, it was worth the wait, as he finally found someone worth using it on. The result was instant, and now we have some idea of how hard our shield hero can flex. Number 12, Lu vs. Satanta, the world's finest assassin.
俺は騎士じゃない。お前に花も息もくれてやれない。ただ死ね。
Average Joes get all the fun in Isekai land, and now it's time for the exceptional guy to remind us why they're the best in the world's finest assassin. We're Lou's facing off against the hero figure, Satanta. Satanta thinks this is going to be a good old brawl, so agrees to the terms of the fight, and as soon as it begins, Lou unleashes a blast of such power it one-shots the poor guy instantly, getting the victory before the fight even really began. I mean, the whole fight is just one big flex. There's also usually a problem with that, and that it no longer feels like a show has stakes. Luckily, the name counteracts that by making it very clear that any fight with Satanta is going to end in failure. Luckily, our hero doesn't fight, he kills. The animation and sound effects really make you feel like you're in the heat of battle, and the music gives it that right pump to enjoy. The moment is so impressive because it's instantaneous. It strategizes with the time thing, and the devastating effect makes you think that maybe Lou is just overestimating the guy. Number 11. Makoto shows his full strength. Tsukimichi.
荒れてる。構うか。グリッド連射砲。よし、今のうちに。
So, when it comes to Sukimichi, it is really hard to pick which flex to use, since our hero Makoto is always pulling some new moves out of his butt and proving that lousy goddess wrong. For this one, we're gonna pick his battles with some pesky flies who thought dropping 1,000 spears on his head would do literally anything. After those two had their little talk, Makoto descends from the air as he finally charges a special move that wipes out practically anything in his sight, making you wonder if they understand the term overkill. Tension's already established by the fake out of Makoto being in trouble, but the kicker is the pure sakuga of the scene. The music swelling up, Makoto falling from the sky, ready to let them know what he's all about, charging up and then finally releasing his full power. He probably didn't even need to do that, but either way, the blast didn't just beat the enemy, but the surrounding area do nothing. And the kicker is, he's probably gotten even stronger since then. Hey, we're at the halfway point, so here's a reminder to take a quick, couple of seconds and give this video a like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so yet. Thanks. Number 10. Tanya's Magic Rifle Artillery. Yojo Senki.
天上の世界から鉄槌を下したまえ。
Tanya had the misfortune of being a businessman stuck in a child's body because God actually hates him. And so the army's one way to vent frustrations is by during the first showing of the magic rifle artillery. After wiping out most of the enemy, Tanya decides to really go in for the kill, and does the one thing he's hated the most, praying. Through it, Tanya creates a bullet so powerful it insta-kills the enemy, and guarantees a mission is accomplished. Tanya's magic rifle capabilities already exceed anyone else in the army, but there's no point in talking about a specific one since they're all unstoppable. Each time the blast happens, there's not a soldier left in the area. The kicker is the way she achieves this, praying to the god that caused this whole mess. The little prayer before the charge, the anticipation of what it's going to be, and knowing that such a tiny body can use that kind of force makes this such a sight to see. And the animation's always ready to make it shine. This is one of the most impressive flexes out there, and it's only funnier when the one who uses it probably hates it the most. Number 9. Mori TOA versus Humanity's Strongest. Failure Frame.
字幕はな。だからさっき生まれたばかりのお前らとの因縁もここでしまいだ。国有騎士団。
Momori's latest flex comes in the form of a backstabbing deal. After talking with the strongest of humanity, giving the classic shonen promise of the two of them fighting later at their peak for an epic showdown, as soon as their backs are turned, Momori goes in for a brutal kill, releasing a poison that annihilates their forces instantly, and then paralyzing the rest and watching them fall to their doom. To cap this all off, Momori is smirking as the once great warrior before him chokes on the poison he has no hope of surviving. You know, most of these grand moves we had usually go in clean, obvious, and unavoidable. So it's a little refreshing to meet a hero who's willing to get dirty. The fake declaration of a future fight, the little delay while we think it's all over before he unleashes his poison really makes it feel like you're cheering for the villain. The design of the poison characters is brutal. And I mean, I get that they're bad guys, but sheesh, man. It's a lethal strike that frankly looked like he didn't need to go that far, and that is what makes it a flex. Number 8. Philo vs. Jin Hia, chillin' in another world with level 2 super cheat powers. Man, these Isekai titles never cease to amaze me. Philo just wants to hang out with his waifu before this random Jin shows up and starts throwing hands, hurting his harem. Nobody gets away with that. So he seals away Hia's power, beats her with his own hands, and reverses time itself to keep the waifu alive. Frankly, just one of these is a banger, but he's gotta one-up himself, as always. First off, I should say that I wouldn't call this a fight so much as a brutal beatdown. Philo is pissed, and he's willing to go the extra mile. The music and character expressions let us know that this isn't a casual battle, and we know that the enemy's no scrub. His real flex comes when Philo basically disregards any actual spell that could have wiped her in an instant and decided to literally take measures into his own hands. It's so brutal, dark, and lets us know that there are some serious limits to Philo's kindness. Number 7. Ainz kills 100,000 men. Overlord.
さてそろそろかな。
When it comes to moments like these, we have to talk about one of the first anime to introduce a skeleton, overpowered main character. And yes, it is weird that this is now a category of anime. Anyway, Ainz witnesses the approaching army and pulls a little experiment, crushing the magic item and starting off by instantly giving death to the running forces. It doesn't stop there. He then pulls out this weird void from the sky, molds it with the corpses, and summons some nightmare fuel to wipe out the rest of the army before demanding praise. That was dark. There's a level of brutality in Ainz's actions that fits with his character, because it's not the actions of a sadist, but a scientist wanting to try out a new toy. The use of CGI in anime honestly rarely looks good, but it worked for the nightmare creatures he conjured up. He didn't need to go that far. Everyone on both sides was horrified, but Ainz played his Dark Overlord rule perfectly, and now they know what a force of nature he truly is. The man is a world boss from 10 expansions in the future. Number 6. Kirito vs. Rosalina, SAO.
それがあんたら7人が俺に与えるダメージの総量だ。俺のレベルは78、HP は14500。
The origin of so many isekai tropes, sword art online. Seeing to never end, so long as they can pop our Wonderbread character, Kirito, into another world for some same nonsense. This time, it's Rosalina and her gang of losers trying to rob him, not realizing who they're messing with. Kirito flexes by not destroying them, but by showing them how easily he could, and how little harm they could actually do to him before they run off. Man, that's somehow colder than just killing them. The anime doesn't even try for that played out who is this guy trope, because this was an example to maximize the effect and reputation of Kirito to the viewers, and it works. Kirito doesn't actually do any damage to them, and the effect of that is even more humiliating than you could imagine. He's basically saying they're not a threat, that they couldn't even hurt him if they tried, and no penalty inflicted would ruin him in any way. He is essentially a giant looking down on some ants, and those ants shriveled up before it's too late. Number 5. Hajime's Revenge, Arura. You know, it seems like we're really shifting to goddesses over Truck-kun. And personally, I won't stand for this disrespect to their legacy. Still, Hajime shows this frustration by utterly beating down the clown who angered him, catching their blades with his finger, blasting away enemies with ease, and even destroying the enemy's super attack with just some bullets. The thing is, he's still not out of ammo, so he pulls out an actual goddamn minigun and destroys their entire force in a fit of edgy rage. The scene is brutal and gets us to sympathize with Hajime's anger immediately, and the name gives us very little reason to want those idiots alive. The animation is smooth as butter, and the choreography is pretty good as it does the job it's supposed to, making Hajime look badass. He didn't have to make his moves so casual, but it's his way of showing how far below him they are. He wants them to be humiliated and destroyed, and boy does he get the job done. Number 4. Anos Voldegold kills someone with his heartbeat. Misfit of Demon King Academy.
インガル
蘇生の魔法、そんな魔法はあるのか。
だ気分はギブアップする気になったか。
Look, we've seen some crazy flexes, but this borders on unbelievable, and that's saying something in an isekai. Anos finds himself in an arena where he faces some cocky punk and decides to mess with us all by not even lifting a finger to beat him. No, he just lets him hear the sheer force of his heartbeat, and basically all the blood of that guy's body just vomits out of him as he writhes in the sheer presence of our hero. The anime does a good job to show the effects well, even without a lot of explanation. Anos' casual tone and mocking attitude makes it clear that this is a mere game to him, and the blood pouring out of his opponent lets us know that it's for keeps. There's little else that I can say that'll convey the sheer nonsensical badassery of killing a man with your heartbeat, and we still have more to go. Number 3. Shadow versus Beatrix and Iris, the Eminence in Shadow. It's time for Truck-kun to get back in the action at center stage with his newest victim, Minoru Kagero, now Sid in this new world. Taking on the name Shadow, it's as edgy as it looks, he takes on 2 swordsmen in a show of needless force, destroying the area around him in clashes while casually dodging flame blasts. After the skirmish, he finally gets serious and summons a tower of pure power, and uses it to show them all the boundless depths of his strength. The first thing that you notice is the bleeding hands of the animators who had to make this battle because they went all in. Sword fighting is hard to animate and choreograph, and they did pretty well by using moves outside of basic sword clashes, though the sound effects make them music to my ears. Shadow's power is obvious from the get-go as he keeps pulling the anime villain stereotype to talk shit and say dramatic one-liners while laughing. He's not taking this seriously, turning it into more of a test to see if they're worth anything, but it's hard to be worth anything next to our Chunibyo protagonist. The environmental damage and the final scream as he gives them a taste of what he really is shows us all that he can truly flex with the strongest of the isekai heroes. Number 2. Rudius defeats Dragon, Mushoku Tensei. This is an anime people are frankly sleeping on, since it's one of the few isekais out there that dare to dream of actual character development. This time, Rudius faces a red dragon and shows his stuff by casually jumping over the thing before blocking all of the dragon's attacks. Since there are people around, he finishes the fight quickly by launching rocks to disable the beast before summoning a boulder to crush its head. It was brutal. Once again, another fantastically choreographed and animated battle from the show. The movement is fluid and the attacks feel rapid, but we can still see it all happen. Rudius's movements aren't just show-offy ultra blasts, but logical thinking on how to affect a red dragon. It's a sight to behold, and it's pretty clear that there was very little sweat involved in crushing that thing's head. And finally, number 1. Ruaru Massacres Falmuth's army, reincarnated as a slime.
死ね神の怒りに焼き貫かれてメギド
It is only natural that we end the listing with one of the best isekai anime to come out. That time I got reincarnated as a slime gives us a little war crime in this cutesy anime as he calls on the power to quickly and effectively wipe out all the humans in the area as the robot voice in his head goes on about the countless casualties and deaths caused from his slime-based attacks, until there's not a single soldier remaining. The effects from the shadowy portal look eerie and already let us know that this won't be nice. Rimaru's robotic voice and apathetic feelings give us a dread at what he's gonna do, and oh boy, is it nasty. There's no resistance, just inevitability. Not even time to scream as soldiers are wiped down at a rapid pace. The mask covering Rimaru's face gives him an apathetic feeling, and the robotic voice informing us of the casualty number just gradually rising and rising with each passing second is a dark flex to give. Truly a feat of a newborn demon lord. This was a true show of force in both its efficiency and devastation, and it is worthy of the #1 spot. And that's the end of our video on when overpowered isekai anime MCs flexed too hard. Be sure to like this video, comment on which part was your favorite, and subscribe to stay in touch for more content like this.